Hello everybody. I hope you're all doing well on this festival of Solstice with the sun at its highest point in the northern hemisphere. I know some of you probably are in the southern hemisphere, so midwinter there. Sorry about that. We're certainly enjoying nice weather here, and everything in the garden is just shoving itself up into the sky, reaching out to the heavens for all that it can get from the energy of the sun. It's a lovely time here. I'd like to talk to you today about diversity. You know, it's a sort of a hot topic these days with our concern for the loss of biodiversity on the planet, which is decreasing at a phenomenal rate and a catastrophic rate. So it's time for a bit of alarm. But also, you know, we've lost diversity in cultures, in languages, in ways of living on this planet, you know, lots of other ways we've lost diversity too. And I suppose in my thinking in recent years, I was sort of trying to find the roots of the problem. What are the roots of the problem? And strange as it may seem, for me, the roots of the problem are in our thinking. You know, nothing happens on this earth that's caused by humans without first humans thinking about it. And our thought processes, like if I look at the way I grew up and how I was reared in a culture and how God was so important in that culture, and everything had to be sort of, I don't know, held up to the light of God's perspective to find out if it was good or bad or right or wrong or sinful or not sinful. That was the ultimate perspective. And then when I went on to study the priesthood and in the seminary, and I studied the Bible, and you know, regularly in the Old Testament you see God speaking, quoted as speaking, and he's saying, "I am a jealous God. There are to be no other gods but me." You know, and he wants them to go out and prove all the other gods to be false. And the whole idea is like of intolerance of any diversity. This is the only way to look at things. And so most of my life I have believed that. I've believed in this God, and I've acted out of that perspective. And now, in a way, my thinking has turned upside down. I now think the very opposite. I think we have to be tolerant. We have to encourage diversity. And if you just think of it in terms of God, like most people today, even if they don't believe in God or a God, they will accept that there probably is a higher power out there. But once you start thinking about what that higher power could be, your imagination is challenged. I mean, it's beyond our imagination. I mean, it's something beyond even time and space. So how can you put a face on it, or a personality on it, or say it's one thing and not another? So that's where my head has turned upside down, and now I see that actually the more ways we think about it, the better. The more diversity there is in our thinking about the infinite, about the eternal, about the other world, you know, whatever words you want to put on it, the more ways we have of thinking about it, the better. And I think what's led me to that perspective is just thinking about the loss of diversity on this planet and what's causing it. And I've been looking at the process of evolution, which has come more and more to the forefront now because, you know, for most of humankind, we haven't believed in evolution. We've believed in creation. But now people generally accept that there is evolution. And we see it most clearly in this COVID crisis that we have, where the particular virus continues to mutate. And we're very frightened about the latest mutation. And it's going to continue to mutate and change. And that's evolution. That's what evolution does. It continues to produce new versions. And I think we only have to look at how important that is for the process of evolution. If you think of the process of evolution as an expression of this higher power beyond us, what is the will of this higher power? We can see it most clearly in the way evolution works. When you and I were born, we were a completely unique creation as far as we know. There's nobody else like us. We may have similarities to our parents or to our siblings, but we're not identical to them. Even identical twins are not identical to each other. There's ways in which they're different. So, is diversity that important to evolution, that every single reproduced human being has to be unique? That's an extraordinary investment when you think of it. That it has to produce a different face, different personality, a different mix of DNA, a different mix of genes. So many things about us make us unique and different. And that to me has sort of emphasised the importance of diversity and how important it is therefore for us to embrace the idea of diversity, and far from us trying to imitate God, who is jealous and doesn't want any diversity. Just one way to look at things, one way to be in the world, one solution to all the problems we have, one set of commandments. On the contrary, we need the complete opposite to that way of thinking. And I want to finish this little talk by giving you an image to go away with. I'm fascinated by the eye of a fly. And flies, as you probably know, have eyes that are made up of tiny little eyes, and they've hundreds and thousands of them. And the best example of this is the dragonfly, because the dragonfly has something like 25,000 little eyes. They're called ommatidia. And the dragonfly's brain has to take an image from each of those separate 25,000 ommatidia, process it in the brain into one overall image, and in that way figure out what's going on in its environment around it at any particular moment in time. Now let's take that image and apply it to the world of humans. Imagine if the intention of evolution was that we will only as humans get a true perspective of what's going on and the reality of our lives, and so far as we can. The only way of doing that is to consider not just our own perspective, which is 1 in 6 billion, but to consider all people's perspectives, to put them all together as if each of us is a separate eye of the thousands of eyes in the dragonfly, and we each just contribute our own perspective, listen to all the other perspectives, open to everybody's perspective, and only when we put them all together do we get a true reflection of our lives and our reality and our world. Imagine if that is the overall will of evolution, and what sort of a world we would create if that was our goal. We would certainly create a world that's very tolerant of difference and of uniqueness. Not alone will we be tolerant, I think we would encourage it. And I think it would lead us to value diversity in all its forms, including, of course, biodiversity, and it might help us to put back in place the diversity that we're losing in nature, and to live in a way that would facilitate diversity wherever it can be facilitated. So that's where I'm at. There's a thought for you for today. If you have any reflections on it, get back to me. It'd be great to have a discussion on it. But in the meantime, good talking to you. Look forward to talking to you again. Bye bye.